This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Reed Gregory.
And I'm Zoe Jones. North Dakota Highway Patrol says one man is dead and his female passenger is now fighting for her life after a rollover crash that happened early this morning.
Troopers say at around 1:15 this morning they were called to I-94 near mile marker 301 in Barnes County for a report of a single vehicle rollover near Ariska. In a press release, troopers say the 50-year-old male driver was driving west on I-94 and lost control of the vehicle. After hitting some ice, the vehicle started to spin, eventually rolling into the north ditch.
Now, troopers say the 50-year-old male driver and his 42-year-old female passenger were both ejected from the vehicle. The man was pronounced dead at Mercy Hospital in Valley City. The woman was taken to Fargo via AirMed with serious injuries.
North Dakota Highway Patrol say they responded to the 7900 block of 45th Street South for a report that a vehicle had rolled into someone's yard early this morning.
Troopers say a 51-year-old man from Hitchcock, Texas, identified in a press release as Lingo, was the driver of the rolled vehicle. Troopers described that Lingo was driving south on 45th Street, about 2 miles east of Horace, when he lost control of the vehicle, went into the east ditch, and then hit a mailbox. Troopers add that Lingo then overcorrected, crossed over 45th Street, and went into the west ditch, eventually rolling the vehicle into someone's yard. Switching gears, it's cold out there. Let's check in with First Alert Storm Team Shelby Ebertowski for a look at our forecast. Shelby?
Well, Zoe and Reed, like you said, things are relatively cool outside. We're already seeing our temperatures in those 20s here in Fargo. We're sitting at 24 degrees. Feels like 15 due to that wind chill with those winds out of the southwest at 8 miles an hour. But we're also having other areas in those 20s. We have areas like Langdon and Grand Forks sitting at 12 and 13 degrees. We have Thief River Falls at 20 degrees. And we also have a bit of a wind chill index. Just moments ago, we have areas like Grand Forks feeling like 2 degrees, but we also have Langdon feeling like -4 degrees currently, and that's going to continue over the next couple hours as we're going to continue to have some clear skies, allowing for our temperatures to be on the cooler side. But I'll have your overnight forecast for you coming up in a few moments.
All I can do is laugh at that.
That's insane. Thank you, Shelby. New tonight, a Fargo man was arrested for fleeing the police. Aries Patrick Lee Donovan was charged on October 25th with fleeing a police officer with a vehicle, theft, and preventing arrest. Donovan had his arraignment on October 26th. His next court appearance is scheduled for November 30th at 1:30 p.m. We've reached out for the court documents, and we will be sure to bring any updates as they become available.
A West Fargo man has also been arrested. Brian Allen Mondor was arrested and charged just yesterday. Mondor was charged with kidnapping an adult victim, terrorizing an adult victim, possession of methamphetamine, unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia, as well as carrying a concealed weapon. All of those charges felonies except the concealed weapons charge, which is considered a misdemeanor. His arraignment was on Friday afternoon at 2:30. His next court appearance is scheduled for December 6th at 9:30 a.m. And there's some sad news for fans of the 90s NBC sitcom Friends. A representative for Matthew Perry and a law enforcement source say that today the actor has died of an apparent drowning at his Pacific Palisades home in California.
Perry was 54 years old. Law enforcement sources said that a 911 call came in at around 4:07 p.m. and it was treated as a water rescue. The source added that there was no apparent foul play. Perry was best known for his role on Friends as Chandler Bing, who we all know and love. He was known for his sarcasm and one-liners. More details surrounding his death are developing. Former Vice President Mike Pence is out of the 2024 race for president. The unexpected announcement came today during the annual Republican Jewish Coalition Convention in Las Vegas, with Pence saying, quote, "It's become clear to me that this is not my time." The former vice president's campaign never gained traction as he confronted a GOP that has moved beyond the Reagan-era conservatorianism he embodied, as well as a crowded primary field dominated by support for former President Donald Trump. A lack of broad support also meant fundraising struggles with Pence's campaign, even after it scrambled to meet the donor thresholds for the first two Republican primary debates. The campaign was unable to gain the 70,000 individual donors needed for the third.
Now, I'm leaving this campaign, but let me promise you, I will never leave the fight for conservative values, and I will never stop fighting to elect principled Republican leaders to every office in the land. So help me God.
There's new details today after the body of the suspect involved in the most recent mass shooting in Maine was found yesterday. Law enforcement is shifting from an active public safety threat to a full investigation. That's after suspect Robert Card was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His body was located inside a trailer on property owned by the Maine Recycling Corporation in Lisbon, Maine. That's where he was actually once employed. Officials revealed today that the area had been previously searched and cleared twice. They also detailed a note found at the suspect's home, but said it was not an explicit suicide note.
It's a note to a loved one and is saying that this is the passcode for my phone, this is the bank account numbers, and I wouldn't describe it as a explicit suicide note, but the tone and tenor was that the individual was not going to be around.
Community members gathered in Lisbon, Maine today in honor of the victims of the deadly mass shooting. The vigil paid tribute to the 18 lives lost on Wednesday when the accused gunman Robert Carr opened fire at the Lewiston Bowling Alley and bar. Victims of the shooting ranged in age from 14 to 76, and more than a dozen other individuals were involved in the shootings.
A multi-state manhunt for the 40-year-old Army reservist accused in the killing was underway until he was found dead yesterday. A shelter-in-place order previously hindered residents from holding vigils any sooner. However, the order has since been rescinded, and additional vigils are expected to take place over the weekend.
Israel says it has entered a new phase of the war with an expanded ground operation against Hamas. Communications are cut off in Gaza, making it very difficult for the injured to get help.
CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand has more on the conflict from Washington.
Israel is escalating its attacks on Hamas this weekend. Israeli Defense Forces released this video of tanks entering northern Gaza and firing. Smoke rose from fires burning in the area. Israel's army spokesperson says several Hamas commanders were killed. The military says fighter jets also struck dozens of Hamas tunnels and underground bunkers. Gaza remains in a communications blackout with no internet or cell phone service. Bring them home! The intensified operation is raising concerns among family members of hostages still in captivity who held a rally.
We are very worried about our dearest, that they are there.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the country, saying Israel is in a fight for its existence and a ground invasion is coming soon to wipe out Hamas and rescue the hostages. Sirens wailed in Tel Aviv and several people were hurt when rockets fired from Gaza landed in central Israel. From Wellington, New Zealand, to London, to New York, thousands marched calling for a ceasefire.
Yes, it was a crime by Hamas, but at the same time, what the Israelis are doing, this is genocide.
The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says the death toll is just over 7,700 and that the majority of those killed are women and children. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The Gaza Health Ministry says hundreds are trapped underneath rubble. The death toll from the Hamas attack on Israel earlier this month is now claiming more than 1,400 lives. Well, Stellantis has reached a tentative agreement with the United Auto Workers Union. That comes from a source familiar with the negotiations.
The tentative deal will need to be presented to and signed off by union leadership before it is announced. It will also need to be ratified by a vote of rank-and-file UAW members before it can take effect. The details of the tentative deal are unknown at this time.
The news of the tentative agreement with Stellantis comes days after the UAW reached a tentative deal with the automaker Ford. It comes nearly a week after the UAW expanded to strike Stellantis' largest and most profitable factory in Michigan. Well, make sure to stay with us later on Valley News Live at 10. The community came together this morning to show support for a local team. We'll tell you all about it in just a few minutes.
And over the next couple hours, we're going to continue to see those temperatures dip into those 20s and even into those teens with those increasing winds. But coming up, we're going to have your Halloween forecast planner with what those trick-or-treaters should wear and how long that unseasonably cold temperatures will stick around. But don't go anywhere because I'll have your forecast for you coming up next.
Valley News Live.